Market, massive pumpage to the upside, immediate dump back down. I set up this thumbnail about an hour before that retrace happened. I was looking out for something exactly like this going on in these markets. And we got to pay attention. What are we doing right now? How are we responding to this volatility? I made 3 trades this morning, all 3 profitable, got out, all longs, got out, and then the market dumped. What was I looking at? I'm going to be diving into that and more. What is the market looking like right now? What should we be doing? Let's go ahead and talk about it. And yes, we're going to play the pump song because we are still setting up for that type of price action. And we've in a multi-month higher high, higher low, if you can believe it or not. So with that being said, let's go ahead and
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish shelter. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We're hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pumping.
we are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
let's
Can't
get
nobody
the
tell me
vibe
nothing.
going.
Bitcoin,
Everybody,
pump.
we got to
We are
talk
hearing
about
from
these markets. I got
clients
some incredible
around the
charts we're going to be looking at today. Some charts, some signals, all the things we need to be looking at. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you are dinging that bell, retweeting this space, getting that love going out because we got to talk about what's going on. We got to do it as a family. We got to talk about what we're doing because this market is chopping people in and out and all about. And with that being said, everybody, if you are watching on YouTube, drop a 1 in chat if you're ready to dive into this. We got some things. I'm just going ahead and updating the post out right now, and we're going to go live here in about 2 seconds. So let's get it. Bitcoin pumpage, Bitcoin dumpage. It's moving about. Do I need to hop back in? I do think I'm going to hop back into a trade right now. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Take stop loss. Double click. I'm just doing this live because I'm seeing the setup. I'm just going to do 65,890. Boom. We are back in the trade. We can track that throughout. Why is that? Because looking at this, what do we got? We have the whipsaw to the upside. We have the equilibrium bringing it back to the downside in here. But what do we see on this move to the downside? A little inverse head and shoulders. We got the breakout. So we are in the trade. Now let me go ahead and where is P&L markets? Hold on a second. Let me just make sure. Take boom, boom, boom. Okay. And we're going to move this stop loss well up in here so it's not a huge loss on if it does reverse. So we are good to go. Now let's talk about it because we're seeing some things whipsawing back and forth. And I had that on the thumbnail today. So shout out to everybody here. We had the member stream yesterday for those of you that were paying attention. For those of you that had your notifications turned on here on YouTube, you would have seen the post that was there in the post section here on BitLab. If we come over here and go just like this on this page, this post area I deleted it because it was only up for 3 or 4 minutes. For those that were paying attention, he could have snuck in. But just so make sure you got subscribed and make sure you have the all ticked up right there. But these markets are just already got stopped out. Alrighty, that's all good. So we're getting that choppiness, but you got to stick to your plan. Now, when we're looking at this, what were we looking at on these markets? Well, we saw the opening of S&P 500 was strong. We're seeing nonstop bullish news, but we also broke through this trend line that we've had on here all the way back here since March 13th. It was formed right here on April 8th. That's why we have two different trend lines. This from this point to this point projected out, and then from this point to this next high. So what did that give us? When we look at where we're at right now, let me zoom in on this. I just want to point something out. Look at where we were kind of held up. Let's get down to the 1 hour. Look at where we were held up on the price action. This is that first one. We have the intersection of this rising channel that we've been within. Price action chopping around to the zone. We broke out, tapped right into that next level, and came right back into it. So the bulls are trying to make that move, but what really happened? There's free liquidity that was above us. Free liquidity. Price action came up, scooped it all. Look at this, scooped right through it, causing what's known as a short squeeze, making these people that were short. This is that liquidity, forcing them to buy. That's how you close those short positions. And some of those cascade into it, and it triggers liquidation levels, and they're forced close, and you just right up. And then what we do, we come right back down and we tap the liquidity below us, which is exactly what just happened. Came back down, tapped the liquidity below us. So we got to pay attention to what's going on in these markets, because it's not just, hey, we're going, it's going to leave, it's going to go. No, tap the liquidity. All right, now everybody's, got all this liquidity below us. Now let's clear the shorts. Now let's clear the tap this liquidity from the longs and see where the stronger pressure is from either sells or buys. And so this is how we are finding that equilibrium in the market. If we get down, let's say, to the 24-minute, I just want to want everybody to pay attention. We drew this line. Let's go ahead and turn everything off. There's just too much on the chart. Looking right here, we drew, let's actually turn on the BitLab volume. We have this area down here that we've been paying attention to, 64.3, 64.4. 64.3, sorry, not 63, 64.3, 64.4. And I'm still looking for a potential sweep down into this area to tap this liquidity before the market actually is able to run away, because it is looking like a beautiful setup. And that is this sort of kind of semi-inverse head and shoulders here, but then this larger roundingness of the price action that we see right in here. Boom, right up into this zone. A bit of a shoulder, bit of a head, bit of a shoulder. We're getting a lot of signs and signals that the bullish pressure is coming in. And we talked about the evaporation or the massive reduction of the sell pressure that we saw in this market over the last 7 months. The sell pressure has very dramatically diminished over the last 6 months. And we're also coming into that time frame that we've been talking about. And golly, did we nail this when we look at the price action and we look at the levels in the area that we have on this chart. If we zoom out on this, go to the 8 hour, this box right here, we've had drawn since over here. This box was a time-based box. We are looking at that 160 to 170 day sort of mark. That's what this box is. And when we look at the price action, let's look at where price action pushed right up into it, right in the middle of it, zipping up to the top of this range, coming back down, trying to fight our way out. And this is that area. This is that time frame. This is where all the signals are coming together. And we talked about it 6 months ago. How could we have done that? Because we're looking at a combination of data that includes not only technical data in terms of price action, but also on-chain data, but also the time-based data in regards to how these market cycles have historically run every halving. In addition to that, looking at the global liquidity that's been on the rise in the same time frame that we were expecting based on the first half year, second half year global liquidity cycles. And we're seeing all the signs, all the data, everything is suggesting this rocket ship, it's almost tied to what's happening with SpaceX. The rocket ship is setting up to fly based on all the underlying data points that will suggest that this sucker's ready to rip. Shout out to Token Tide Temptress, member for 4 months. Welcome to the family. every single one of you welcome to the family. And again, if this is your first time here, welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream where I break down meaningful tools, content, resources, and we've got an incredible community. This is not a place for trolls. This is a place for education, good vibes, and how we can make sure that we can dominate in this market together so that we can change our lives. My name is Kelly Kellum. Let's dive in to the markets because they are getting so damn exciting that you got to also realize, as exciting as it is, it's ripe to absolutely destroy your profitability if you're jumping a little too much, a little too often, or in the wrong way in this market. So in fact, I actually did a post on that this morning. I'm just pulling that up. And that is this post right here. And this is absolutely true. Bitcoin, but it's any market really. In this case, we're talking Bitcoin. Quick move. It just moved up. But a lot of people jump in and they catch the top of that. They're jumping in mid-move. They weren't set up before the move and then they get wrecked, right? Or we get complacency because you have that quiet time when there's lack of volatility and people they try to trade versus allowing the trades to come to them. And then what happens? People force the moves due to inexperience or complacency and you get wrecked. So whether it's a quick move or there's quiet, boring times in the market, people are getting wrecked left and right. Get a plan, stick to it, have a plan before the move happens and execute it without emotion. That's how you bring on these winning moves. And on that note, I just want to highlight for each and every single one of you, especially if this is your first time or if you've been sitting on the sidelines, we have a full education platform here. Head over to that place, that link right there, lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. Again, that's lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. You get 15 days free. You can cancel anytime. And you get access when you're signing up to that. If you want the Discord with all the conversations, the chart requests, the member streams, but then also you can upgrade. You can get, I think there's 120 lessons in there that I put together that has on-chain data, technical analysis, price action, indicators, charts, setup, strategies, psychology. All of that is in there breaking down to make sure that you can understand how to read these markets, tokenomics, different tools, resources. I mean, there's so much value there. I recommend anybody, and you can share that link with your friends. This deal is going away once we break above $74,000. You can still get into BitLab. It's just going to be more expensive. You get 15 days free and 33% off for life. You can also get access to there if you want to upgrade. When you upgrade to the courses, you also get the indicators and stuff as well. So just shout out to that. It's also a great way to help support what we're doing here at BitLab Academy by participating over there. And of course, you can also, if you don't want to get so entrenched, you can also become a member here on BitLab YouTube, get access to those member streams. Now, looking into what's going on in this market, everybody, this was all green this morning and now it's red. This was all green and then it was red. There's green because this is hourly. On the weekly, we're starting to look like we're getting that bullish vibe in the market. Now is not the time. Now is not the time to mess this up, especially if you've been in this market for months. Don't go losing opportunity before the best opportunity and the explosive price action is about to melt faces. So, shout out to our girl in chat, Tater, still healing from surgery. Big love to you. Remember, we are a family here. I'm not a guy on YouTube talking about markets. No, we are a family here. I see each and every one of your names. I know who's in here on a daily basis. I see you all live chatting. I love you. I appreciate you. And I want nothing but the best for each and every single one of you. I do want to just say also, we do a giveaway every Friday. So come over here. Get this pumped out. Hit that retweet, hit that like button. We do a random drawing, sometimes 2 or 3, depending on different activity levels on Fridays. So I just put that in the live chat. Go over there, show some love, and at minimum, if you're watching on YouTube here, even if you're watching on Twitter, hit that little heart right there. If you're hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Now let's go through what the data is saying. Timothy Peterson here says, "Can you believe I've been tracking this since March?" This is, basically the beginning of the bull market here when we broke out after the FTX collapse, came down. You can't see it. It's under my head. But this is, look, just tracking the last 2 cycles. And then what do we see? We can see, actually, this is yeah. So we can see right here, this is that point. This is 2015 to 2017 and the 2019 to 21 average. So you're kind of seeing these basically aggregated together into a single line. That's the blue line. And look, we've been kind of tracking this. Look at this dip here. We had a rise here. And then what happens? We come back to equilibrium. And this is the point at which in the market, it has to do with the days since the bottom. This is the point in which that angle of attack starts to move up. And look at exactly, this is where we're starting to round out, setting up for that move to the upside. And people are worried right now. We still need to be concerned that we're not so bullish that we forget our risk management. But even with the washout to the downside, I think it would be an absolute incredible buying opportunity if that happens. But on aggregate, looking at this, this is the next stage. And what is this stage? Angled to the upside. So with that being said, let's show some engagement on this post because we're looking at it, right? We want to participate in the things that we are utilizing. And then check it out. Substantiating this, this is at the repeat of the market cycles. This zone right here, let's look back here at 2020. This is the market collapse, world markets, not just crypto, but we have this essentially channel and then the breakout, little retest, launch. We're on that stage right now that whether we get it in this next few weeks or after the election, this is setting up for this next leg right here. Okay. Now on to the next one. What do we got? This is that setup zoomed in. It's a different chart zoomed in on the 1 week, looking just at this last 7 months. And what do we see? On the weekly chart, the MACD is looking like it's looking to cross bullish. This is starting to, we got stopped out and it's still going, this sucker. Look at that bull flag though. Ooh, is it worth getting in? Oh man, look at that bull flag. We got a bull flag right here. Okay, let's see. RSI is on the upper side above 50%. This is on the 1 minute chart though. What's it looking like on the 5 minute? See, 5 minute, although the 1 minute shows a bull flag, 5 minutes looking like it's getting a little hot. But you see how long this can be hot on the stochastic RSI? And the RSI is down here holding below 50. So while the 1 minute may be tricking you into, oh, this is a buy, the 5 minute right here is showing you, well, we're actually getting a little overheated and there's not a lot of strength. You want a combination of different time frames that are suggesting the same thing. Now, it doesn't mean this can't break out. It just gives this 1 minute chart. Maybe the trigger's not there. The trigger shows the setup, but it shows the gun is not loaded. Does that make sense? Now, coming back, we're going to be checking back and forth on this. And by the way, I've been sharing this in the Telegram, the free Signals Lab, which you can sign up for. It is directly below the description in this video. If you come right here, I just want you to point out, see, join our free traders group. This is the link. It's also commented directly below the YouTube in that the first comment there. You should see the link for nordvpn.com/BitLab to get your 4 months free on Nord VPN, protect yourself. But then also right here, the free traders group. And I just want to highlight something. Check this out. I've been sharing, I wasn't able to last week. I'm sharing trades in there, sharing the setups, and we've got 4 or 5 other traders, pro traders sharing signals nonstop. And that is right here. This is the ones I've been sharing this morning. I jumped in this morning really quick, got a 29, you can't see it, 29.34% trade, got out. I kept moving the stop loss into profit, got right back in, made another 33.95% trade, and then got out, moving the stop loss in profit. I didn't even have to exit. I just, as it was moving up and then boom, knocked me out in profit. And then I took another 7% trade. So 3 trades in a row. And I showed basically the setups and, what was going on, the trades that were happening. So get involved in there. And there's so many different trades in here. Look at this. It's just 250% profit, 50% profit, 36% profit, 34% profit, 36% profit. It's nonstop. 40% profit, 48%. Guys, and it's free. All you got to do is sign up with CoinW. The link is in when you click on that link directly below. But we got a lot more stuff to talk about, so let's get back into it. Looking here, setting up for that move. Now we can have some noise in the meantime, but the setup is building stronger and stronger. Looking at this, realize new whales short-term holder versus old whale long-term holder, not sex or minor. That those two words should not go together. Not the centralized exchange or the Bitcoin miners. That's the words we should be using. The average purchase price of new whales is $62,200. The average purchase price of experienced or longer, much longer term held whales is $26,900. Essentially, a second cluster of purchases has formed at the current levels for this price. There's whales that have been coming in along this way. And part of the reason is this time is different. But everybody always says that, Kelly. No, fundamentally, this time is different because we entered Epoch 2 on January 11th of 2023. Of 2024, of this year. That is the ETF approval, and actually they're open on the floor and people are buying, and the access that is here now. Whether or not some of this whale activity is directly in the ETFs, that sparked a new wave of, oh, this is something I should pay attention to. So the buying that's represented from the ETFs is not just reflected in the inflows and buying of the ETF. That also marked, hey, Larry Fink, Fidelity, Jamie Dimon, all these major players out there that have been against Bitcoin since it's been out, dogging it, fudding it, now are realizing this is an asset class unto itself that they need to participate in because it's the best asset in history. And they're talking about it positively on a daily basis on all these different financial news programs. And so people are starting to say, okay, and the ETF got approved, which means there's obviously some regulatory clarity around that. We're seeing droves of buying pressure come in from people and types of investor and institutions that we just haven't been able to see before that. So this time is different on that account. Now, with that being said, when we zoom in to this data and we suggest, where is this going? Well, price is going higher. Whether or not we get new highs this bull cycle or not, which we will, just look at the bottom. The conservative approach is to look at the lows, all the way back here under a penny, and then over here, in the $7 range, and then over here in this $100 range, and then over here in this $3,500 range. And then over here in the $15,000 range. You see what I mean? Even at the lows, even if you do it the most conservative way ever, you can see that Bitcoin's growing. And this, I do believe, was cut short. We've talked about it before with the Chinese mining restrictions that basically cut this short. I think we stand a very good chance of pushing into somewhere, not only the yellow, but somewhere in the middle band of this, potentially even higher. We'll have to see how this market goes. We have to see what happens when we hit $100,000, how much sell pressure comes in. Everybody says when we hit 100, it's going to break out and go up. I think we will get that, but I think there's going to be a pretty big hurdle between 92,000 and 104, 105,000. I think there's going to be some sell pressure. I think it's going to screw up a lot of people with price action hitting that $95,000 to $100,000 level, having a retrace back down to the $75,000-ish, and then that next wave to the upside can really break through. But we don't know. We may get price action pushing into that 95 level. People, retail hype and institutional hype and just hype in general comes in, and maybe it just starts melting faces to the upside. All we can do right now is prepare for the move before it happens. Now, pack those bags and welcome everybody that just poured in here. We got 458 people in the room. Shout out to each and every single welcome to the BitLab stream. We're bringing you those meaningful tools, content, resources, and the charts to help keeping you set up and how to read them, what to do, why to do it. This is not financial advice. This is strategy breakdown. And I want to teach you how not to step in the holes I've been stepping in, or I have stepped in, historically. How do we grow together? So looking at this, we also saw this open interest shooting higher before this move. So we're getting frothy in this appetite because everybody is looking at this going, it's going to go up. So you got to be careful that you don't wreck yourself because this, I mean, the engines on this market are getting warmed up right now. We're going to see some really, really explosive growth here in the near future. So now moving on, we also see in the altcoin market, this is Ethereum. Ethereum is setting up for a major move as well. We can see this with the RSI combined with price action as well. We see back here at the end of the bear market when we had this sort of a bottom, and then we kind of triple bottomed here with these three lows. But the break of this neckline, boom, to the upside. Same thing here with that midsummer into October. Look at this, October start. But you see this sort of neckline also formed. And now we have something stronger, which is instead of a W formation like we see here and here, we see an inverse head and shoulders, which is a reversal pattern suggesting that the bulls tried, failed. The bears tried, the bulls bring it back. The bears really tried, the bulls bring it back. Now the bears are weak, and we see the breakout of the RSI at the same time. Things are about to get spicy. The question is, can you handle the heat? Part of that heat right now is not chomping at the bit. It's packing your bags. So I'm bullish as I could be on all that. And then, of course, we also see things like Tau, which we've been talking about. You know, this is, became one of the largest, I think in this altcoin portfolio, it's the largest holding now because of this growth that it's seen since I brought it to y'all's attention if you weren't involved in it already. Part of the heat with this was we got in, and about 3 days later, the market nuked on August 5th. I didn't sell. I added to my position. And now what do we see? Now we're up 87% in 2 months on a position. This isn't even a trade. This is a spot purchase, and we're seeing it only getting stronger with some of these things like this right here, which is where was that? Boom, right here. Tau allocation more than 10x what it was in the Grayscale AI fund. I'm glad I was stacking in the last few months. And what do we see? 31.79% of Tau in the Grayscale. So this Grayscale AI fund is now 31.79%. It was 2.9% before. So part of that stacking, part of that is also them adding into the fund. A part of that is also the value of that goes up, and also eats up what that percentage allocation is. But this is massive. I mean, let's look what's in there. Tau, Near, Filecoin, Render, Graph. I don't have Filecoin anymore, but I do have Tau, Near, Render, Graph. Great, good suggestion when you see these massive funds kind of point you in the direction. Oh, maybe I need to cut this out of my portfolio. Maybe I need to add this. You know, you could follow the big money. And then, of course, we have to be a little bit cautious because things are still escalating the world over. The markets are exciting right now, but we're still seeing geopolitical things heating up, causing tensions, and which could bring uncertainty to the market if there's something that escalates very rapidly and very quickly. And we're seeing right now, South Korea fires back after North destroys the roads. So it's not just what's going on in the Middle East. We're also seeing escalations with what's happening with North and South Korea. South Korean military responded with counterfire operations near the DMZ, demilitarized zone, after North Korea blew up sections of inter-Korean roads. This symbolic destruction follows heightened tensions, and Pyongyang escalates provocations in the region. So we need to pay attention to this kind of stuff, even if you stay out of geopolitics. If you're in these markets, you need to be just aware of things that could have a drastic impact on certainty in markets, because certainty, or the evaporation of certainty, will bring an increase in risk, aka risk markets go up, or a decrease in hedging and basically a strengthening of the dollar because people move out of risky plays. Now, while this could be terrible on the humanitarian side, I hate these types of things. It will, if something does escalate very rapidly, and any of these numerous geopolitical tensions we have go on, if something very drastic happens, you will likely see a pretty big sell-off. But these things, when they do escalate into more heavily focused wars, unfortunately, that actually ends up being good for markets over time. So we need to give love and compassion, and I feel so empathetic and for all these things going on in the world. We need to stop all this nonsense. When you are in these markets, you have to understand how it can affect what's going on. Now, again, I just want to shout out, we're going to get into some TA. We're going to talk about some levels we need to watch. We need to talk about some charts and setups. Before we do that, remember, we have a core member of our BitLab community, a core contributor in there. He got targeted on one of the ledger hacks that's going on, took his whole stack. One of the things that you need to make sure is that you're protecting yourself in these markets. That's why I set up for this partnership with Nord VPN. You can see it up above my head. We got it up there, Nord VPN. But this is, you get 4 months free, and it's a great way to help protect yourself online using a VPN to make sure that you can't get, limit the ability to get targeted. It also helps you navigate things in crypto a bit better as well, masking where you are for safety purposes. Head over to nordvpn.com/BitLab. Again, that's nordvpn.com, nordvpn.com/BitLab. The link is also directly below the video right here. Get NordVPN 4 months free. Boom, that's the link. Get in on that. Protect yourself before you wreck yourself. Now, shout out to all of you that have been in this market for the last 7 months when this has felt like it was never going to end, because we are getting into that zone now. Now, this is not over. We still need to be aware that a larger pullback could be in the cards. Now, when we zoom in on this, this is what I'm looking at right now. I mean, look at this heartbeat. Flush out the shorts, flush out the longs. Okay, let's see where the buying pressures are coming in or the sell pressures are coming in. We're at equilibrium. But I want you to notice, this is also, if we look at this on the 1 hour time frame, this is also looking, let's go to the 4 hour. This is also looking pretty quick move up here. Look at this. Having this large wick here brought back down like that. We got 25 minutes left on this candle. This could be indicative of this mark that we drew yesterday, which is, it was either yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, yesterday. That potential sell-off, because this is a bullish attempt. Bear says no. If this closes like this, or even with this candle a little bit further down, this is suggesting some weakness in the very short time frame, in the near time frame, that we could be working our way back down into this $64,000 level. On the 4 hour time frame, we do have this giant order block below us, so there is a little bit of a buffer there. However, when we zoom out on this, look at the 1 hour time frame, letting the charts load. There we go. Look at this, the order block on the 1 hour time frame. Look at this massive inefficiency, meaning the candle moved very quick with no sort of filling it out. It did not build the stairway to heaven. So there is a little bit of a concern. If you're only bullish, there's a little concern that this may come down and test this $64,000, even come down to this 63, high 62 sevens. Now let's look at this on the charts. Liquidation levels. I mean, look at all the liquidities below us now. So as bullish as I am, you have to look at where money is going to be pulled. Money is going to be pulled towards free money. So the big market makers that are out there, and the trades, we can see that there's free money down here. Too many people went long. We cleared the shorts. Look at this. Boom. We only have these tiny little nodes up here, 30 million, 13 million, 9 million, 12 million. But look below us. The first one right below us, 46 million. The one right below that, 63 million. Look at this. 35 million, 33 million, 67 million, 22 million, 63 million, 22 million, 83 million. There's a lot of liquidity below us, and this takes us down to about, where did I say at the beginning of the stream? 64.3. What were we talking about there? 64.3. That was on, I forget which chart it was. Got too many charts. So we're looking in this zone right here, 60, the tops of this zone, 64. I think it was a 24 minute. There we go. Yeah. So look at this, 24 minute order blocks right here with this starts having a little bit more work to do. But look at this, 64.4 to 64.3. And that is perfectly in line with this liquidity that is right in here as well. See this same zone? So I do think more likely than not, we're going to come down and scoop up into this. Will we get all the way through it and come down here to 62? I don't know. I do think that the bullish case is getting stronger and stronger. But if, again, those geopolitical things shake up the market, we could be getting a washout into those zones. But all in all, things are looking good, man. But who we got? Let's see what's going on. Let's get a roll call here in the live chat. Who's here? Who's present? Who's paying attention? Who's typing in here? If you're a BitLab member, drop those BitLab bull emojis, because even though we got this washout, you guys need to realize this move is actually more bullish than you know, because we do not want this just to rocket. We want this to push up, cause a little bit of a kerfuffle here, clear out some shorts, clear out some longs, have a little bit of a move down, maybe test. Look at this. Boom, right here. Where is that? 64.4. We go a little lower, 64,000. So this W formation, boom, 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 boom. This range right in here, let's do a box on that actually. And that is this sort of zone right in here. And what is that zone? That is, there we go. The tops of this and kind of into that zone, 64 to 64.3. So we have liquidation levels down there that are also perfectly representative of where this sort of range that we just broke out of, this previous range tops. So there is a lot of signals that are lining up, especially with this giant wick here, that are suggesting we may be rolling over to come tap this liquidity, test, basically flip this previous resistance to support, and then pump itself up to the upside. No, just checking. We got Token Tide again with the member 4 months. Token Tide also with 5 gifted memberships. Shout out. And Green Day Profits also with 5 gifted memberships. I just want to remind everybody, when you become a BitLab member here on the YouTube, you get access to the member streams. We just did one yesterday. We got another one this afternoon. I got to check what time. I'm doing it with Alex Green. We're doing it this afternoon. Make sure once you become a member, you come and you turn on your notifications so you get notified when those member streams happen. It's done on an unlisted link. It doesn't get posted anywhere, but if you have your notifications on, when I come in here and post members only, and I post this post in here, you'll get notified so you can join in on that. Also, for those of you that aren't members, when you're paying attention and you have your notifications on for about 3 minutes before we go live, not all the time, but sometimes I will post a public post, kind of like this one I accidentally left up. And if you have your notifications on, you'll see it. And then I delete the post. But if you're already in there, you get in there. I just want to reward people paying attention. Now, getting back over here, let's go ahead and see what these markets are doing. Link still fighting its way in the sideways. I mean, a lot of this stuff, guys, a lot of this stuff we're seeing is kind of being held hostage by the risk narrative. But better than that, sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I bring in a sidekick from the Northeast that's now down in the Southwest. And that's my boy right here, not the Telegram, Mr. Matthew Hyland. How you doing,
What is
bro?
up, Kel?
What up? How you doing?
What's going on? So
dude, markets are getting exciting again, man.
Yeah, we had an interesting day. My microphone sounds good, right?
Yeah, you sound good. Now, I just want to highlight again, everybody, when we got somebody like this, like me, like Matthew Hyland, we bringing you this data, every single one of you, and you too, Matthew, head over to on YouTube, hit that retweet button, let people know this is where you get the goods. And remember, when you guys retweet, you get entered to win. We do a drawing every Friday, but we're talking about it. We got the man himself here. So what's going on? Have we broken any structure, or is it stupid and unfounded that we're so excited about this little pumpage action that we've got right now?
I would say it's interesting. If you want to pull up my chart that I have, let me move this over. So this is actually, and I think I discussed this last week. I definitely discussed on my Twitter. I posted a video. I just quote tweeted it. But Bitcoin had been playing out a very similar structure with these SMAs, the 43 and the 10. And it identical to last year, how it played out essentially. And the interesting thing is this wick last year, right? This was on October 16th. So this was the wick where we had the fake report from, I believe, it was either CoinDesk or Cointelegraph that said the ETF had gotten approved, right? And we saw this wick above. this resistance area, and then it pulled back down. And what do we see today? October, basically a year to the day, we're seeing a wick above this area and then a pullback. And that goes along with these SMAs playing out identically, where we got above, over here we got above, broke below, fluctuated, then reclaimed it, and then pushed up, reclaimed it right here, and now have pushed up. This, and I discussed this last week, that this was playing out identically to last year. Now we're seeing almost to the day the exact same thing, where we put in this, I guess you can call it higher high. I would like a daily close above at some point. But this is just playing out identical. It's just crazy how like these markets, and we've been talking about this for months now, like the seasonality of the election, how this all just seems to always play out the same way. And once again, it's almost playing out identically to how it did last year's 2012, 2016, 2020, 2023, all the exact same structure. I'm going to switch this back to the single. So we just have the one chart up, and I'm going to go to today, and we'll see what's going on. So I would say at this point, a lot of my TA has been based around the 43 SMA and the 10 SMA for the past few weeks and months. I have the wrong one. Okay, there we go. No, I don't. I'm confused. There we go. Okay, that's the SMA that I want. So the 43 SMA, every single time we've gone below it, right? We look at this structure. This is pretty simple. Went below it, made the next low. Went below it right here, broke below it, made this low. Went below it right here, made this low. Went below it right here, made this low. Went below it here. At this time, right, I didn't know what this was. I didn't know this was a higher low, because every single time we've gone below it, we've put in the next low. And as it turns out, this was a higher low right here, right? Then we went below it once again last week. And once again, I didn't know at that time what it was, right? But then we broke back above it. And it turns out these were all higher lows. So every single time this has gone below the 43 SMA, this has played out where we've created our low, except recently we've been making higher lows. And now I also use the 10 SMA. Usually when we get above it, we see a push. And the interesting thing is with the 10 SMA, I wonder if I can pull this up. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to switch this to the histogram or area, I think it is. Let me change the color on that. So usually when this 10 SMA is moving up, which we're seeing here, I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Right here, the 10 SMA is moving up slowly, right? Over the last 6 months or so since this started this year, and even historically, 80 to 90% of the time in the past year when the SMA started to move up, Bitcoin's price has also moved up. So we'll just go over this. Like right here, back in February, SMA moving up, Bitcoin moving up. And the SMA started to go down, Bitcoin went down. SMA moving up, Bitcoin went up. Then we went downward. This was kind of flat, or downward, and then flat. And then right here, SMA moving up, Bitcoin's price moved up. Over here, this little mini thing, Bitcoin's, the SMA started moving up once again, Bitcoin went up once again. Then the SMA just trended down. And then once again, right here, Bitcoin, the 10 SMA moving up, Bitcoin moved up with it. So my point is that what we're seeing here, and you could go back here too, moving up. The 10 SMA is moving up now. And this is like with moving averages, this is not something that can just get like changed in a day. I mean, unless you see a huge candle, like a 10 SMA is based off the prior 10 candles. So it's kind of like turning a ship, I'd say, if that makes sense, where it kind of like slowly turns. Because there's times where like up here, like the SMA is still, well, this one, because we went down so fast, it actually basically turned at that point. But there are times where the SMA might be going down still. Like right here, the SMA was going down, but Bitcoin had been going up. But because we had dropped so significantly, it was kind of like, it took a while for it to turn. So then it started to turn right here. And once when it turned, Bitcoin continued up. So as long as we stay above this 10 SMA, which is around 63K now, I think this is fine. I see a lot of, like on Twitter especially, there's a lot of bears celebrating today. I think it's super premature. I mean, and if you look at this structure, we've been saying this for a while. This is essentially just higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher low. So your expectation should be that this continues. Like you could say it's like a 55 chance that we go up, 45 chance that we go down. But the fact is, when you're in an uptrend, it favors a continuation. When you're in a downtrend, it favors a continuation down. It doesn't mean it has to play out like that. It can do whatever it wants, but just from a odds perspective, you have to have like a slight bias when you're in an uptrend that more than likely when things play out, when the dust settles, the trend is going to continue. So I was saying this down here once when we identified that this was an uptrend, you just have to have like a bias. And I think the best way to handle this price action right now is just have a bias that this is going to continue. Just trust it. Eventually, maybe it does break down, but for now, we've been in an uptrend since the start of August. This downtrend, in my opinion, has ended essentially with these lower highs and lower lows because we made a higher high, we made a higher low, and now today we're trying to make another higher high. Wicked above. We'll see if we can get close above.
So are you? Do you feel like it's so interesting right now because it feels like there's a little bit of a different capital sort of flow this cycle with altcoins, where like a lot of, not all, but there's a lot of stuff it's kind of still, yes, being held up by, is risk coming back into Bitcoin? Is it starting to pump? But we're seeing like the others chart, it's showing everything is rounding out. Also, we're seeing things like Tau, we're seeing things like Sui, we're seeing things like Fetch, we're seeing some strength in different sectors of the market that aren't really waiting. They're not running away yet, but they're showing some pretty strong bullish signs.
Yeah, we're seeing, and that's usually like a sign that things are starting to turn, because back in July or June, July, August, we didn't really see anything really doing much at all. But we're starting to see coins over the past month or two move. A lot of stuff is actually up anyway, but we are starting to see some coins start to roll. And that's usually how it starts. Like last year around this time, basically to the day when Bitcoin moved up, that's when Solana started to move. And then there was other coins like FET started to move at that time. And then slowly, like, then everything just jumped in and then everything started moving. So that's just, those are more clues that things are starting to turn more likely than not. And if you look at, this is others, and you had discussed this, I also had discussed this with my Patreons a few times. This is a gigantic inverse head and shoulders. That's what it looks like. Regardless of what it is, if we break out of this resistance area, this would be significant for the alts. And really the price target, I measured this yesterday, is all the way up here at the high. So we will probably see the alts get a major push if we see a breakout of this resistance at some point. So it's all like just similar to last year, same exact kind of setup. Even last year, you look back at this in retrospect, this is kind of also, you could say, like a giant inverse head and shoulders pattern. And then when Bitcoin broke out that day in October or early October, that's when this started to move too. So this is, you can look everywhere you look, this is looking identical to last year. And sometimes things don't play out exactly the same. Sometimes they rhyme but don't repeat, but it's super close. It's kind of cool to watch it play out in real time. And
So
also, I mean,
go ahead.
actually, no, you can go. No, you can go.
I was going to say, there seems like there be a little bit of a shift into the Sui narrative. And some people, you could argue, are a little bit late to the party because it's already pumped dramatically, breaking to new all-time highs, so on and so forth. How do you feel? Is that still just going to continue melting faces, or have people missed the boat, or is that something that you think when the market starts running, it's not, because sometimes something runs first and then everything else runs and you're like, that one pulls back. So how are you feeling about what's going on with Sui?
I would say, look, it's hard to say what's going to happen. Obviously, we were discussing this when it was below $1. I think we were on here talking about when it was 85 cents just a few months ago. This is against Bitcoin, so it actually has come up to this high from last year. So this might end up being some temporary resistance. But the thing for Sui is it is a brand new coin, or it's a newer coin in its first cycle. So it does have a chance to break out against Bitcoin and continue higher. Usually coins that are in their second or third cycle against Bitcoin do not break to new highs against Bitcoin in the second or third cycle. The only coin I think that's ever done that is Doge. Doge did that last cycle where it actually broke to new highs against Bitcoin. Everything else, including Ethereum, never has. So So I think Sui could eventually break through this. Maybe it needs to consolidate a little bit at the all-time highs for the USD pair, but it's gonna. I would assume like if the market moves up, Sui's gonna do pretty well and continue to do well. Usually, the ones that do well early on pretty much do well for the majority of the run, typically.
And then what were you going to say? I cut you off and we kind of diverted, but you had something else you wanted to pull up.
Um, I mean, obviously, we've discussed the election, right?
Yep.
And now we're super close. And we all know if Gary Gensler gets fired, that it would be quite significant. And now we're 3 weeks away from the election, so we're super close. And if you look at the betting markets today, this is kind of really broken out. So I don't know if we'll see some sort of reaction from crypto. It is interesting, but obviously, as we know, if Gary Gensler gets fired, I think this space will change drastically. It will be super, super bullish for this whole space. Obviously, we saw earlier this week that there was discussion that maybe even that the Bitcoin that the U.S. government holds might get sold. So that also kind of factored into that dump last week, kind of. So it put more weight, I feel like, on the election for this whole space. So we'll see what happens. Not turning this into a political show, but we all know that there's probably a better side for crypto or a better path forward, especially if all these lawsuits get dropped and the space can finally start to grow and move forward after everything that's took place over the last 3 or 4 years with FTX and all the exchanges going down and then all the lawsuits, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, at minimum, it's. I wanted to say 2 weeks ago, make crypto exciting again, make crypto great again.
Yeah.
And now it's, we haven't broken out of the 7-month trend we've been in. We're showing signs that we might soon. And it feels on the one hand, I was talking about this earlier in the stream. It feels on the one hand that there's so many bullish signs that I do wonder if, as bullish as it is that just going to take over, or is it going to be like an open interest flush and we get something that moves down to kind of shocks people like below 62 down into 58 again or something, or if just there is so much bullishness that you just can't contain this and this is going to continue basically from now into sometime next year, just continue once we break out to melt to the upside.
I would say at this point, it needs to hold this 58 level that you just mentioned. That was the last higher low at this point. So as long as this uptrend continues, then I think this will continue. I would say if we start to like break and make new lows here, then then I think this lower range would once again come back into play. But for now, I think we are in this uptrend, and it has a decent shot now where if this continues for a few more weeks, so where we keep moving higher with higher highs and higher lows, this will eventually want to break out of this structure.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I noticed on my chart here. Let me pull it up. I drew this. Is it this one? Yeah, I drew this. There's a lot of lines on here. Let's go out to the daily. Essentially, I have 2 different lines here, and it's kind of interesting what the price action just did. I drew a line from this point to this point, the first point, and of course we have deviations above it here. But using this projected out, we have the first area in which the price action, if we come down, let's say to the 24-minute, that smaller line, this is where it was struggling, and then it broke out. Now this other
it's breaking back out. It's actually breaking back above the high.
Yeah, I know. I entered a trade, got stopped out, and then it took off. Motherfucker.
It's like right there though. It's literally above the high from a few weeks ago back in September. So we're watching it live.
Yeah, but the point is that first line is where it hesitated, and then it had that next impulse up to the more macro line that we've all been paying attention to, which is basically from this point to this high. And so we kind of have this cloud area that the price action is fighting to get through, but the massive order block right in this zone as well. I do think that the 67 to 68 region, if we're able to clear that, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like this region here, really clearing the 69.9, this high here, I feel like in some ways this is more important than clearing that, 73.8 or whatever that previous range high was. This is where we truly start getting that higher high of this whole range that we've been looking at.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, all these confirmations above will strengthen the argument that this is turning around. If we break above, like we made the higher high. The next one would be making a high above this 70K level. This was the high from back in August. If we get through that, then there's a lot of pressure on the bears at that point to try to defend or hold this area down, because it would really show that the bulls are probably back in control, and then more likely than not, this is going to end up breaking out. Uh, I would I would say I'm not sure how this will end up playing out, but I know back in 2020 when it came time, the bulls just sliced right through the resistance with ease essentially. So I'm not sure if we're going to end up consolidating here for a few weeks if we get up there, or if this is just going to go right through it at that point. But yeah, I would say of levels of importance, if we get through that 70K, if you don't have like that bullish bias at that point, you really should. And there's nothing wrong, I guess, if you're waiting for further confirmation to switch your bias. If you're waiting and you're saying 66 or 65K is not enough for me, I want to see it break through 70K. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like a 10% difference. And I'll feel the same way too. If we break through 70K, I'll even go further. I'll feel even more confident that this bullish structure is about to, continue up. But yeah, I think this whole thing is it's just setting up similar to last year and all the other election years. This is nothing out of the norm. And we're close to the election now, 3 weeks away. So
Dude, I think everybody can agree, regardless of what side you're on. You know what? Everybody has different reasons, and right on. But I think everybody can agree. We're all ready. We're ready for it. I'm tired of my news feed on Twitter. It used to be all crypto stuff, and it's like I have to force myself to go and I click on every crypto post now, trying to get only like crypto back in my algorithm, because there's so much clickbait with all the other stuff. It just messes up, the inundation of it. It's like, okay, I'm ready to be done with all this political nonsense. Let's look at before we wrap out here in the next few minutes. Let's take a look at what you're seeing on ETH.
Okay, let's go to Ethereum. It's right here. So Ethereum, someone asked me about this yesterday, actually on Twitter. They said, "Oh, does this have the same or make the chart similar to how you made the Bitcoin chart of the higher highs and higher lows?" And I said to them, "Look, this isn't the same structure. It just isn't. Bitcoin has been making higher highs and higher lows. ETH is kind of consolidating, right? This looks more like a pennant type of formation. Once when ETH gets above this 2730 level, that would be a higher high." But at that point, really, let's just see if it breaks through this resistance. If it gets through this 2730 area right here, if I zoom in, if it gets through that, then I at this point I want to see it break through this. I want to see it clear this resistance. And when this happens, whenever ETH gets through this resistance, it will be super significant. I think this will really start to set off the whole market, the alts, everything. This would be a very strong sign if Ethereum broke through this. It'd probably get a push back up to these highs afterwards. So Ethereum does not look the same as Bitcoin, but I think if Bitcoin does get a push up, it will probably end up pushing up as well and then eventually getting through this area. If I go to ETH BTC, we'll see what that looks like. This has just been consolidating down at these lows for the past few weeks. I want to see if there's any signs of any sort of reversal. Not really. I'd say if you look at ETH BTC, you could say this could be a potential double bottom if it gets a push up, if it broke this neckline up here. But for now, this isn't really showing too much right here against Bitcoin. So I'll go to Solana too, actually. So Solana, I posted this on Twitter. This looks like an inverse head and shoulders for Solana. Similar to ETH, it's not really making higher highs like Bitcoin has, but if it can get through this neckline, it would probably get a push up to this upper range, all-time high range that we saw earlier in this year.
At minimum, I'm excited. If you guys are excited for this market and what's to come, if you've been stacking, and throw a 1 in chat. I know a lot of people, I mean, it feels like nothing's happened. I was on a Spaces the other day with this guy, BAM Investor. who's been in markets for years. He goes, what people don't realize, they feel like nothing's happened over the last 7 months, while there's been 6 or 7 swings. Actually, if you think it'd be double that. So I think it's 6 swings to the downside. So that's 12 moves that are like 18 to 20%. I mean, that's a massive trading range. That's basically a full market cycle in a lot of assets, and this is us just consolidating.
Yeah,
it's
consolidating.
Like, oh my God, what's to come? It's so exciting.
It'll switch really fast whenever we do switch bullish or whatever direction we're going to go. It's going to happen really fast, and people are going to forget that we were in this like boring period for so long. We saw this last year where like once when it started, it was like, oh, everyone's just super bullish, everything's going up, everyone's excited, but then people forget how we got there, which was like just this long, boring period of consolidation, which we've been in now since essentially March or April. It's crazy that we're just basically going sideways, but a lot of interest has been lost. A lot of people have, not been paying attention, but a lot of these people will eventually come back when the prices start going up.
But hey, you know what? All of us can wear the badge of honor, because I know you have your community as well. Whether you all know it out there that are watching.
Yeah.
We're seeing the live chats. We're seeing who's engaging, and you all get that badge of honor, not only being ahead of 7 billion people, but also that you were here doing the work, even if it's just following different content creators in crypto, trying to learn, trying to pull, see what's going on. You're doing the work. You're going to be so much better off not trying to catch up and just, buying the top of everything and selling the bottom of everything, which is unfortunately, that's how these markets work. All these people that have been ignoring this for years, once it gets up into 100, 110, 130, they're going to be jumping in then. It's like, not that it's a bad buy, but if you're jumping in at the top, I doubt that you have the conviction to hold or trade effectively on those swings. A lot of those people, unfortunately, are going to be exit liquidity. And that's what I want to help prevent. And that's what I know you want to help prevent all the viewers out there. Make smart buys based on data, not just on a price level. A price point on a chart is nothing but a data point that you weigh against other data points. So price is somewhat irrelevant when you're weighing it against all the data. But man, I always love it when I see you pop in here, because we never plan it. I just keep that link open all the time. It's fun.
Yeah, it's always random times when I decide to show up.
Yeah, well, I love it, man. I appreciate you popping in here. Everybody, make sure you follow Matthew Hyland, which is at Matthew Hyland _. I'm trying to pull it up really quick. So just to make sure that you guys can go show some love. And that's right here at Matthew Hyland _ 2 T's. He's probably got 200 fake accounts out there because he's such an effective guy. There's no way we can limit it. So make sure you're following the right one. He's got a YouTube as well as a Patreon. Check him out. Again, Matt, thanks for popping in here. We're about to ride this rocket, man.
Yep, let's get this going. And the one word of advice I'd say for everyone, when the market starts flying, instead of adding all the way up, start trying to find ways to like trim your positions out, like start taking money out of the market and rewarding yourself. A lot of people make this mistake of just keep buying all the way up, and then the market tops, and then you get wrecked. So you're better off just at some point, when this market moves, just cut off. If you're spot buying, just cut it off at some point and then just let it ride.
And ask yourself before the frothiness, when you're entering, say, what is my action plan for exiting? If you don't have an exit plan, you're going to get trapped.
Yep.
But that's all we got for the show today, guys. Everybody hit that like button, subscribe button, ding the bell. Make sure you got your notifications on. We got member streams throughout the week. And when you got those notifications on, you get to see, you get to pop in there and get that extra alpha. But that's all I got today. Matthew, again, thank you for popping in, and we'll chat more later.
All right. I'll see you later, Kelly.
Adios, everybody. We're heading to Blockchain Basement. Let's go show some love. Pumpage. Let's go. Adios, guys.